All right, everyone, we are live again. I am so thrilled today to have Angelica Bermudez from Esencia Maintenance Services on the call today. And I'm thrilled to be able to share your story. And we'll have you share your story to everybody we're talking to today. Because tell you about when we think about the conversation of getting to hell yes and solving a problem, and then the progression through your career. I love your story so much, and I'm just thrilled to be able to be part of even to work with you and to be part of your network. As everyone knows, Getting Hell Yes is a show we put together to really start to unbundle or break up this kind of perception that sellers are all they're selling and we're pushing and persuading. But the thing we want to try and figure out is how can sellers begin to learn from each other around what we're seeking to solve for. So a great example is how can we find people that are looking for help instead of telling people they need help, right? Mm-hmm. And so how can we begin to answer the needs that people are seeking to solve for? And ideally in a hell yes customer, they're frustrated with their alternatives. They've tried maybe hiring, maybe maybe technology, maybe vendors, who knows? Mm-hmm. And they're not being successful because of the way it's being deployed. Look at that. And guess who just made a comment right there? One of our favorites, Ray.
Oh, okay. We were just talking about him.
Yeah. We're just chatting about you, Ray. So your ears must have been burning. And I think one of the exciting things to talk about is that as we talk about getting to hell yes, it really is about how can we begin to structure our go-to-market, structure our customer experience, and then ultimately that top of funnel flywheel around hell yes customers. They're cheaper to acquire, they close faster, and they have a certain characteristic to them that leads to great partnerships. And that's what we're all trying to solve for, right? Mm-hmm. As always, anyone can comment. Ray, thanks for commenting already. Please comment on the show. Please touch base with us and throughout. It's always great to have interaction as we go through. And as always, this is brought to you by IRCX. IRCX solves troubleshooting for maintenance, solves AI inspections, helps simplify your whole maintenance process so you can go and execute on services like what Angelica and Ray have to offer in property mail to make your life so much more easier. Folks, appreciate everybody listening in today, tuning in for the live, and I'm thrilled. Today we could do this in Spanish.
I know, I wish.
No, otra vez vamos a hacerlo en como por el SAP, por el telenovela, vamos a hacerlo en castellano, pero ahora vamos a hacerlo en inglés. And lucky for you, don't have to hear my terrible Spanish because Angelica's is just beautiful to listen to. So everyone, please welcome Angelica. Angelica, if you could tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, your story, and then what is the problem that you guys solve with Esencia, and how did you get there?
I know, yeah, I love the introduction on the LinkedIn invitation when you said from sweeping the floors to innovation. So
yeah, well, this is the story. I love your story so much.
Yes, and it's actually, it's literally what you just described. So, thank you so much for the invitation. First of all, it's an honor for me to be here. It's really an opportunity to actually inspire others as well, because, we don't have to come from, a technology background or even, a whole life or good circumstances to even, have an opportunity to make a difference. So, just wanting to be that opportunity to inspire others as well. So I was born and raised in Colombia, and I've been here in United States since I was 22 years old. So it's been like 22 that I'm here. Just do the math. So I met my husband here in New York. I was living in New York, and then for 5 years in New York, then we decided that we wanted to have a family. So we moved to Florida, to have a better lifestyle and, running out of the cold weather as well. As good Latinos, we just wanted to be, a little bit warmer. Yep. And so we came here, and, everything started because we just wanted to have a family and be able to raise our kids. Like, we're very traditional and we're very family centered. So that was everything we wanted to do. So we said, well, what is the thing that everybody does when you're an immigrant? It's easier just to open a cleaning service, right? So that's where we started. We said, this is what we can do. We can clean, and let's just get, do a business so we can have kids. So we started a cleaning service for offices, very small. It was just my husband and I. Then, I was pregnant, and we have our daughter, Maya, our first daughter. So at that time, the business was, in the negative. We were not making any money. And we just said, we have to make this happen, because we're not going to have our daughter in a daycare for 9 hours. So whatever we have to do, we have to do it. And this business has to run, and we have to be able to raise our kids and have a business. So that was all we had in our mind. We never thought that we were going to be where we are right now, because our only purpose was to have a family and be there for them. So we just, were lucky enough to actually be hired to clean a property. The ones that are from Tampa know the Mosaic was short. It's a building. It's an iconic building. It's actually one of the first multifamily buildings that were here in Florida, in Tampa Bay area. And we were just cleaning. We didn't know there was such a thing as a multifamily industry. We were just so happy and grateful to be cleaning in a nice property. We were also asked to do the unit cleaning for the property, just the touch-ups, as they were very brand new construction, so they didn't have too many move-out units. But we were just there, and, we started to be asking to do the move-out cleanings. They took a lot of more work and, effort and everything, but we didn't even know how to charge. So we were just charging like $30 per apartment. And nobody wanted to work with us for $30 an hour, for a whole apartment. So we were losing money. But we had something in our hearts that were like, this is going to take us somewhere. We had some pride, so much pride for what we were doing. We wanted to, to provide and deliver for the managers. We want them to be successful too. So we didn't even question that we were not able to make money on the units, until one of the supervisors, he was like, guys, I can't take this anymore. You guys are charging way too low. This is not the way you're charged for a unit. So he said, you should be charging like $90 for a unit. We were like, wow, no wonder why we didn't make money on these units and nobody wanted to work with us. So we said, okay, that's fine. So we started doing the units correctly. And, it just from one building to another building, because we just came in the right moment and the right place, right? We know God has a purpose, and that was it. He put us here. Multifamily started blooming, like, one building after another in Tampa Bay area. And, they were just referring us, because there were not many cleaning companies that maybe knew the industry either. But we knew it because we did one, and then we just duplicated, and we started doing one building after another building, just by word of mouth and by being referred. And soon enough, we were like 30 buildings that we were cleaning, and we had a lot of people working with us. And so we were like, wow, this is getting, too many units. Now we said, there's so many other needs that the properties have. We were always like, okay, how can we help? How can we help the property managers, the maintenance guys? We really were put our hearts, and we wanted them to be successful too. And so anything they ask us, like my husband and co-founder, Mauricio, they used to call him like the yes man, because anything that they will say, do you think you could do this? Yes. And we didn't know. Sometimes I will look at him, I'm like, how am we gonna do this? Like, are you crazy? We never done this. He said, like, we'll find the solution. So he will go ahead and find people and look for help and people that knew how to do it. And we end up actually helping properties doing video production, resident events, like theme decorations, like crazy, like everything they needed. We will be like, we'll do it. We'll find a solution. And the other thing there is that we had so many people around us and so many talented people that we were also like, hey, you have a talent, why don't we make this a service? And then so we have people that came from Venezuela, from Colombia, from other countries. And
now it's
they
happening.
were like, I'm a decorator, like I'm very good. Like, well, we could decorate the common areas for the properties. Like we could do Halloween decoration. Christmas tree decoration. And to these days, Guillermo, we do the 3 decorations for the most luxurious properties in Tampa Bay, just because we connected somebody with the talent, with somebody that had the need, and we were like, this is it. I mean, this is what we know how to do best. And we became the one-shop stop for, a lot of property managers company. We work for like 60 different property management companies and nationwide. I mean, not nationwide, but those are the nationwide property
Yeah,
management
national.
companies.
Yeah.
But, that's what we do. And that's how I became, we became the Tampa Cleaning Services company that was once called, to become Esencia Property Maintenance System now. And, as we go on, I'll tell you a little bit more how we actually transformed to technology a little bit.
Well, that's not a small thing, right? And so you're doing all this coordination, you're meeting all these people, you're finding talents, you're finding needs, you're finding supply, and you're finding demand. You're finding supply, you're finding demand, you're finding demand, you're finding supply.
Yes.
Right? This is all coming together. And this is starting to emerge as being probably a lot of work to coordinate. Like maybe the first one is just like, hey, I'll find you here, I'll find you here. And maybe you didn't even feel, you didn't facilitate the billing or the transactions or all those things. But eventually things get complicated, and you're kind of, you realize that maybe doing these favors is a lot of work for somebody and for something. And so then you start a software company.
Yes. So before that, what made us who we are now is that we really had a purpose as well. So we wanted to help the property management companies, but we also found so much purpose on helping the people that needed the work. And so as we started growing, we said, okay, we can do this by ourselves. Just having so many employees is too hard to manage and to supervise and, everything. So we said, these people that are working with us, they're putting their heart and effort every single day on their field. And, let's help them. Let's help them move on. Let's help them make their America dream come true as well.
Right.
So it became our purpose. And I do remember so many times that we were sitting and meeting the people that were just coming from another country, like, okay, looking for a job and an opportunity. And we will sit down with them and we will say, how much money do you need to make means happen? Like every month, like how much do you need to provide for your family? I mean, I'm talking about immigrants with zero connections, nothing, just coming in. And they will say, I just need $2,000 a month to really provide for my family. And it became for us like, okay, we got it. And then by miracles, properties were starting to come our way, and we will say, okay, this property is going to be for you and your family. So you clean it, you provide the services, and you take care of your family. And it will be just exactly what they needed. It was exactly what we were able to provide for them on workflow. So it just became that. And we were like, okay, we need to help more people. And it just was that when you know that you have a purpose and things are working, things start to massify, right? And so we have a lot of people that they will come with us to work with us in a bicycle because they couldn't even have a car to work with us. And then we're like, you have talent and we know you can make it. We know you can manage teams. We know you can make your own company, and we will help them to build the company. And then to these days, they're making $1 million just in cleaning services with us, or they have 30 people underneath them just because they have the power they wanted to make a difference, and we kind of duplicate all the heart that we put into the properties, my co-founder and I, to the people that were working. So that's what made it so magical and be able to expand this way, because it's always been about how can we help them, the providers, and how we can help the properties. So that's how everything began to shape into the company that we are. But then like 3 years ago, we were like, obviously we were working on our own software, just to kind of manage our own operations, because it was too much, like too many different services, from cleaning to decoration to events, planning to everything. So we were like, we need our own software. There was no other application out there that could help us manage everything and coordinate. So we started building it, but then like 3 years ago, we were like, wait, now we're a solution for the property management companies, but there's still something missing here, because it seems that everything that we're doing for them, it's not, they're not keeping traceability. They have no visibility. They don't have control over the vendors that they're managing. Why are they coming to us for solutions that they could
Mhm.
actually do themselves, right?
Mhm.
But it's not, because there's, in the multifamily industry especially, our clients are the fee management companies and the owner operators. They don't have the capability to hire any type of vendor, like the restrictions are very high. They just are, the certification processes, and small companies cannot really work for a multifamily property, because it's kind of too expensive to be a vendor for a multifamily
Yeah.
company. So we said this is something missing, and we knew it was technology, because everything is manual, fragmented, inefficient. Like, you see the managers is struggling every day.
Mhm.
Maintenance guys is struggling, like, who do I call? And then if I call this company, are they certified? Can they do the job? If this is a small company, they want to get paid on site, like, and managers and the property managers companies cannot pay on site,
Mhm.
they have an accounting process to follow. So we said this is something that has to be fixed, and that's when we started our mission to helping property management companies with technology platform that allows them to to manage their vendors, to collect proposals, to choose who I want to work with. It doesn't have to be a big company. I can have a small company. I can have a skilled trade uh, provider, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a construction company to do a handyman job, and
Mhm.
it can actually work, because Esencia is allowing the platform to access the lower cost labor, qualify, but they can do the work that it doesn't necessarily have to be a construction or a GC company for them. So that's how we had become a technology company now, and how
Yeah.
we are servicing our customers that way.
So then is the problem that you solve for the fee managers is the quality assurance on, I say compliance on the vendor, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Compliance on the vendor, quality assurance on the job to be done, right? And then everything else is enablement, right? Make it easy to buy,
Yes.
right? Because if
Yes.
those three things don't happen, they're forced into a more expensive workforce or alternative. They have fewer alternatives. They have less supply. That has less availability. That has higher cost. Whenever you have less supply, prices go up, and
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
there's
Mm-hmm.
just less competition. So they have less alternatives, and their job gets harder because because they can't get the job done. Like if I've got to move out that needs to happen, or a sparkle clean or whatever, all that I'm constrained by what I need to do, especially when I need to turn it in 2 days, 3 days, to get it all done. So I want to have that unit leasable, or in the case of all the other all the other services you provide, it's just a bigger pool of the audience. And I think and
Yes.
I imagine somewhere like Tampa, people know, like personally, they may choose those vendors
Mm-hmm.
for all those things because they don't have the corporate risk profile like you would if you were a property manager. And so
Mm-hmm.
if I would use this event planner every single day, all day long for all of my things, and I trust them, and I know how they work, and I enjoy working with them. But I can't choose them conventionally through my property management core. I can't choose that vendor because they're not vetted. They're not,
Exactly.
then I'm stuck, because I know here it might cost me, let's say, $100, but if I have to go corporate, now it costs me $500, and
Exactly.
now I can't do the things that I need to do, so I'm constrained. So here,
Exactly.
the problem that you solve is you make supply bigger, and that supply is safe to buy and easy to buy.
Yes. Yes. And because throughout our 16 years in the industry, we got to understand very deeply how the multifamily works, right? So it's not just the make readies. It's their maintenance and repairs of the property, which
Mm-hmm.
are, I think, the hardest for them, because we're talking about a very small job that needs to be done on the property, not the units, but on the property. But like a welding, for example, I need a welder. Like, these are very small companies or individuals that do these jobs. And so the property managers are stuck with repairing a gate because it's just, or a fence, it just needs, a little welding work, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't have it in their list of certified vendors, because everybody that is certified is a bigger level company, a
Mm-hmm.
medium-sized company, I would say, and they don't have access to them. And those companies don't even look into the multifamily as their clients because of everything that is required to become a vendor. So it's just like a no. For example, things, very basic things like refilled the pool table,
Mm-hmm.
refilling the pool table. Like, those are very individuals that do these jobs. Those are
Yeah.
not corporate companies. So
Yeah.
we're giving access to properties to a very low cost individual that can do the job, but they won't be able to do it otherwise. And the other part of the maintenance, there are actually three main items when it comes to maintenance operations in the multifamily. So we
Mm-hmm.
have the make readies, we have the repairs and maintenance, which includes capital projects as well, a pressure
Mm-hmm.
washing of a parking lot. Also, the contract services, which is the common areas
Yeah.
cleaning, everything that is on a recurring basis. So even those services are very hard to find, because when it comes to the cleaning, people are used to cleaning offices and facilities, but they don't know how to clean a multifamily property that is, especially if it is a luxury property, they require so much attention to detail. They require, to be there. And that's what we do and give access to the properties. Qualified teams that are actually trained and know how to do the job for the multifamily, for the luxury properties, or even if it's not a property, it could be a B property, but you still need to have it clean and
Mm-hmm.
clean it correctly. And instead of changing companies all the time, because, this is the reality. I mean, people in cleaning and maintenance may not want to do this for a long time, right? It could be something that they're doing for a little bit. So then you end up having to switch companies often, because the quality starts declining.
Yeah.
But then with us as platform, as the support for the multifamily industry, we're able to just switch the provider. It's very easy for them,
Because
not
you
having
own the
to go
system.
through the some. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The one thing we talk
So
about all the time is that when you've got variability in people, you can have variability in process and excellent people, or you can have variability in people and an excellent process. But you
mhm,
cannot have variable people in a variable process.
exactly.
You
Yes.
cannot have that. Is a recipe for disaster. And that is what we
Mhm,
see all the time in the maintenance scenario, is there is no excellent process, or there's limited evidence of excellent processes. When they're there, they work fantastic. And there's limited, and the nature of the job is the variability in the people. And so when we talk to maintenance folks and
mm,
services, all these types of things, there is a certainty and there's an uncertainty. And the goal in optimization is to de-risk the things that you're certain about and to kind of like accept the things that are uncertain about. So you have a natural variability, natural risk that's like kind of like system. It's part of the system, and people are going to want to change out of these jobs. That's
yes.
if
Mhm,
someone is the irony is that the ideal person that you would want to hire shouldn't want to be in this job for longer than 24 months,
exactly. To begin with, yeah, it was just
right?
by choice.
It's not by choice. They're doing it because of circumstance. Exactly.
Yes.
And so
Mhm,
if you're going to build a system if you're going to expect variability in that role, and that's an assumption, then you've got to build in rigidity in the process. And what you guys have done is you've been able to build in that rigidity in the process and make it a systems. Now, one thing that people might be listening, might be asking, okay, this sounds a lot like Angie's List and TaskRabbit. How is it different?
Oh, completely different. Completely different. Yes, because we are the heart of the process, and
Mm-hmm.
we're not giving service providers, just a lead. Not at
Right.
all. We are part of the ecosystem. Our service providers are part of their ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just working together as a machine for the property management company. So
Mhm.
nothing is outside, nothing is if you want to do it. No, we have the people that know, and you just said it very clearly. It could be a very beautiful technology, beautiful, and the maintenance guys may love the technology, but then when you get to the apartment and the unit is not cleaned properly, is not painted properly, or the common areas are not good, or the maintenance job that you were doing is not correctly done, it doesn't matter,
Mhm.
especially in the maintenance world. Like the maintenance staff, they're just don't want to deal the with the residents, like complaining and not provide them with a good
Right.
experience. So it doesn't matter if they just have the most beautiful platform, but the service is awful, right?
Yep.
It doesn't mean anything for them. So we do have, and that's something that we are so proud of, is that we started from zero, right? Like we
Mhm.
started being in those shoes, we started cleaning, we know what it is to be on the field, we know what the expectations are, and that's what we do with our providers. So none of the providers are part of our ecosystem are just picked because you applied and now you're part of the list. No, they are trained, we supervise them, we make sure they know what they're doing, and as we see them that they are progressing, we want to give them more work because now they understand and they see what the properties need.
Mhm.
And that's the key. That's the key, because especially for maintenance supervisors and the maintenance staff, they don't. It's easier for them, Guillermo, just to make a phone call. They don't want to deal with the app and technology. I mean, some of them are, but the majority are very rejecting that possibility because it becomes something else, something more
Mhm.
that they have to take care. So we just want to give them peace of mind first with the quality, and then if they are okay and they feel comfortable, then you can do it yourself. You can just request it, you can schedule the unit, you can cancel it, anything that you want to do. But at least we want to give them the peace of mind first of the quality, which is the most important thing in the
Right.
multifamily industry, because at the end of the day, the experience for the
Results.
residents is just everything, right? Like
It's
that's
everything.
what they
Everything.
need,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
income source.
Well, what's interesting,
So
so then to kind of you can choose TaskRabbit, you could choose Angie's List, but then you're not going to you have no guarantee on quality. You own the risk on
absolutely,
quality and you
yes,
own the risk on speed, right?
yes,
And so what you're
hmm
solving for them is a labor market of lower I'll say a lower cost price
hmm
market, but the benefit is that you also give them peace of mind on quality and speed.
yes,
So it's not a trade-off as it might be if you go to Angie's List or Craigslist or whatever. You're going to go and you're going to, as a property manager, do you want that risk of quality and speed? Because it's going to be,
hmm
it might be cheaper, it might be more expensive, but you don't know if
it
it's
is.
more expensive,
hmm
might not know if it's cheaper. That's a lead generation function, and that's going to you might get price, you might even fill the bill, but that's not going to give you quality and it's not going to give you speed. And so, and as a property manager, those are very high priorities for me because I'm also at the beginning of my career as a property manager, right? I don't
Yeah,
want to accept that risk for quality and speed because maybe I saved $4 an hour.
yeah, and to be honest, the price difference is really, it's it's is higher because when I mentioned to you before, you have to hire companies that are
Right,
mid-sized companies
right.
anyways, because
Because you can't
otherwise
procure them. You
they
can't
can.
even buy it. You can't even buy those
Yes,
people.
you
Gotcha.
can just contract the lady that cleans apartments. You can, because it's just
Right.
too expensive, right? I mean, they won't be able to qualify. So that's the solution. It's not about the price. It's just people getting used to doing things in a different way.
Mhm.
Sometimes, and I say from my own experience, when you do things on manual way, it's faster, it's practical. You just make a phone call, a text message, that's it. But now
Mhm.
when you use technology, you have to adapt to a new process, and that's what takes a little bit more of time for people to understand.
Yeah.
However, at the end, when you keep on educating and showing the benefits of doing it in a different way, then they're more willing to accept it when quality is good, and
Mhm.
then technology comes on the second as a second part of the process.
Right.
So it's really not a, a a a hard decision to make. I think it's just adapting to using technology versus doing it the manual way.
I think there's also this. That's just that's the way the quality and the speed is enabled. Like if you don't have the technology, you can't enable the speed and the quality. So
No,
it's going
no.
to be it's going to be more work for the property manager.
Yes, and the thing that I also always put it in this perspective is, just think about Uber, right? And you have Uber and you have so many drivers available at any
Mhm.
time, at any location that you may need them. So what's the purpose of going and hire just the driver directly if it's
Mhm.
not going to be available for you 24/7?
Mhm.
Versus now you have a pool of providers that are available to you at any moment. And like I said before, people lack, they're still lacking on the quality because that's just the nature of the industry, the business. And then so when somebody doesn't work anymore, then you don't have to go and hire and onboard a new company. You just change the crew, you
Mhm.
just change the company within the same system. So it just makes it so easy. It's just that it's not popular right now because on the multifamily industry versus SFR, like, we were just at the MX Summit, and
Yep.
a Property Melt and other big companies are doing a great job with SFR. Is just not there as to that level for people to be so aware that this is a new way of doing and managing multifamily properties. So that's
Well, I think
that's where
you
we are.
look at what Meld and Ray is doing, and the other people in the market. I mean, the distance and the speed problem are much more intense in single family,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
so technology was required to be able to even start that
Absolutely.
business. Otherwise, it wouldn't
Absolutely.
happen, right?
Hmm.
And so the business wouldn't exist without technology and SFR. It'd be impossible to run.
Hmm.
And so you take a look at multifamily. The crisis didn't hit multifamily until very recently.
Hmm.
What I see right now in multifamily, the crisis is hitting, and this is a slow boil, but the crisis around labor and talent is becoming it's showing up on the profit and loss statement.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
10 to 20% of the maintenance budget doesn't get used because they can't fill the jobs.
Hmm.
But work orders are creeping up to 20 days open, right? I
Mm.
mean, if Ray's listening, this is his data or Compliance's data, right?
His numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the work orders are creeping up on 20 days. We know that the work orders in the first 90 days affect on renewal, right? And what's interesting about the data is this is all very obvious. Like if you were to take your entire 12-month experience in a unit and make that think of a 90-minute restaurant experience, right? If you
Hmm.
sat down at a restaurant table and the table was dirty,
Mm.
you're already in a bad experience.
Of
If the
course.
server is unable to kind of get you if there's something wrong in the first 4 or 5 minutes of that experience, or maybe no one comes to talk to you, you get up and walk
Mm.
out.
Of course. Of
Like, you
course.
leave, right? Or now they're already on their heels trying to figure out how to make this better, you know. And if they consistently disappoint in that 90 minutes, you're not going to go back to that restaurant, and you're going to tell 10 other
Absolutely.
people. And that's exact same experience that
Hmm.
we feel in multifamily right now. And then, not to mention, with so much supply coming online and competition for prices and
Oh,
for
yes.
residents,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
there's just no choice. And so when you take a look at the world and say there's three ways to solve any problem: I can hire people, I can vend it out, or I can use property. I can change our process or use technology. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
and they have always hired in multifamily,
Mm.
and that's just not working anymore
No.
because of what you talked about, right? The committed labor pool to solving a single problem for a single employer just doesn't work any longer, especially given that these roles are rolling roles. Like if you've got 50% turnover at a site level, and and we're talking about conventional. Affordable is even worse, right?
Mm.
You get an
Hmm.
affordable, the wages are lower, and there's more low rise. It's harder properties to maintain. Like the inspections are more arduous and they're harder to do. Like in those different subverticals, it gets even more complicated to keep these people. So the assumption needs to be the people are going to turn over. Like it's we're seeing in some places I'm hearing 90% staff turnover, right?
Yes.
So if you 50% staff turnover or a 5% reduction in your productivity every single month, 90% is like a 10% reduction of staff productivity. So if you have 140 work orders a day, 13 are not getting done. Period.
No,
because you've got productivity.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And one of the things that we solve and that we know that that it makes a big difference for the property managers is that not just from the, I mean, let me say it again, that property management staff are burned out, right? Because there's so much they have to take care of. Like now I hear it all the time when I talk to property managers, like our generation, and it's so entitled, like, right? Like they have so much demand on meeting the residents' expectations. Like they just now going above and beyond trying to meet the expectations of the residents for the multifamily. There's so much competition, so they really want to keep the residents and the retention level high, right? But they still have to deal with maintaining the property, and that is a lot of work for them. So now we're seeing a lot of more properties using us because punching a unit has always been part of the maintenance in staff, right? But now we're seeing more properties using our services to do the punch services because the maintenance guys are overloaded with work orders and they cannot even keep up with the unit turns. So we're helping them on that side. And the other thing that our solution and technology in general is also going to help is that a lot of managers are being switched from property to property, covering up because there's low, shortage of labor.
All of a sudden there's a lease up, and all of a sudden a lease up building, you're gonna
So they have to move. And so one of the things that we see that is also a problem for the industry is that all your contacts, all your vendor lists, everything that you have to work for a property is actually yours. Like it belongs to you because you're the one that be building that relationship with vendors all for years. But then what if you are moved to a different region, like you're being moved to a different state? Like you have to start from zero. Like there's no other way for you to manage a property without having a good network of vendors to help you out. So then having everything in one system that belongs to the property, then anybody can move any place, but because wherever I go, the system is there, and then I'm able to choose all the providers that the previous manager chose, or I get to know the new ones. I mean, I get to add new ones, or at least I'm not starting from zero. And that's like 20% of the property managers said that number one problem for them and challenge is funding and managing vendors. So imagine you go into a whole new property that you have no connections there, or no of your vendors go to that area. Especially here, we're seeing a lot of opening areas that are very far away from the Tampa area. So none of the vendors go there. So now you have to start from zero. So that's one of the things that we want to help solving, is that take that load of responsibility of having to carry a network of vendors to work with to be successful. Like it will belong to the property.
It's interesting, and I don't know if you compete on this, or I find that people don't like to talk about it, but like in my previous career, we did a lot of field services work. For 20 years, I did field services work and field service optimization for things in the field, right? And very similar to, basically you've got assets, revenue producing assets in remote locations and distributed experts. So sounds a lot like multifamily and SFR. Now, one thing that we saw a lot is fraud. We saw a lot of fraud. We saw 21% of vendor spend was fraudulent. And no one really talks about this. And do you ever compete on that? Like, because if someone's going through Esencia, the work has been scoped, it's been articulated through a third party, it's been approved, the vendor's been scoped out, it's not someone's brother, sister, relative, and there's an independence element in place. And does that ever come up in any of your discovery sessions? Is anybody thinking about fraud, like vendor fraud? Like this is like examples of vendor fraud: duplicate invoices, invoices for work, invoices for. So there's kind of time fraud. There's invoices for materials that didn't need to be procured, that were not procured. So invoice for a toilet that was never installed. And then there's just full on, just blank invoices for work that was never done.
Well, that it could happen, but then having technology in place avoids that and
I totally agree.
Because then you're able to trace everything that's happening,
right.
And it should match. I mean, if I'm ordered this service and this is the price that I agree at and approve for, then that's what I should be paying for. And the good thing is that the also added value is that the payments are actually going through Esencia. So you're paying Esencia as a property manager, and we are in charge of paying our providers for the service. So then there's just one line of communication versus having to pay all the vendors individually or getting all those individual invoices.
You can imagine with off-site payment processing, like it would be, and here's the thing is that, and I don't want to dig on this too long if it's not a pain point, but like fraud happens when it's rarely bad people taking advantage of a good situation. It's good people that get in bad situations. And then they do things that they wouldn't otherwise normally do. Right. And this is like, historically, this has gone on, this is well proven. And so like, it would be very easy for someone who's got some problems, right? Who has approval rights on a vendor to select a vendor off of whatever, and that or to architect a scenario where there's a vendor invoice that comes in for a make ready, and then that is poorly documented. Make ready for unit 302, poorly documented. It comes in, an invoice comes in, goes to accounting that is offsite. That vendor's paid, but 302 is never turned.
Well, I think that for the multifamily industry, I think that it's a little bit less of a problem. I just don't see it because even though there's no technology in place, let's see just the manual way of doing it. Since there is a maintenance on site, things are always being checked as well by them, right? Like this property this unit did actually get cleaned. So I think there's so much more levels of supervision being on a multifamily property that perhaps it could happen on a single family property and for the SFR industry, which is everything is so remote, right? Well, there could be another thing is when we work with build to rent or properties that are not have an on-site maintenance team, it could happen. But then that's why we have to be very careful to specify every single thing because there's not a shop on site. Multifamily always have a shop. So when you have to do maintenance, you always take, a fan, anything that you need, you take it from the shop. It's owned by the property. But when there is no maintenance on site, no shopping on site, we are the ones actually doing the purchases. So we always want to be very transparent, and our processes are like, these are the receipts. We charge by receipt. So we're showing everything that is being purchased, that it was installed. So I just think that it's a little bit different on the multifamily because there's so much, everybody's there. There's a manager, assistant manager, there's a leasing, there's maintenance supervisor, maintenance tech. So I think that problem is not too much in this industry.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to hear. So when you get object. So, and what's interesting, so we talked about how from a supply side, you've got a really good network of people that are referring you to, and how it all started with respect to your purpose for the people that come to do the work. And then the demand side was coming to you over and over and over again. And so we brought those people together. Now, building a marketplace for two-sided is not easy because you got to build up the supply side and you got to build up the demand side. And you're the demand side pulling supply to you. And you had a lot of you had people in your network. Now, you often there's still no's out there, right? So you go to where are the bigger no's? Are the no's on the supply side? There's two questions here. where are the bigger no's, the supply side, the demand side? And then secondly, when you get a no, what's typically the objection?
Yeah, well, the objection is more into the technology side, Guillermo. It's more into from the upper side. I mean, from the upper level of management, they really are more into having things that they can trace, like the visibility, a dashboard, everything. Is the implementation on the lower side, which is maintenance. The guys are in the field are the ones that are rejecting more the technology implementation. Um, and being honest with you also, we've been known for so many years as a service company, which actually make us be as the another company that we are competing with, right? But now is the transition and making them understand that it's not Esencia with other companies, actually Esencia, the one platform that is giving you access to to process your whole maintenance operations in one side, right? So that's just the transition for us, like oh, okay, so Esencia, I can hire Esencia or I can hire X company. No, it's actually that through us you'll be able to have a pool of vendors
Right.
vetted and with quality service that you're able to manage yourself from the system. So that is a little bit of our no for now, because and as we keep on doing a great job on implementing new features and making it much easier for everybody, then definitely is going to be something that's going to be adapting on a more on a higher speed. And like I said, since there's no many other companies doing it, then I think for everybody sometimes it's like, what, you have a platform that does what, and I can do this and this, but they're a little bit of hesitant still because it's new, it's different, and they may feel like this may not work, so that's the only thing, because the maintenance needs are always going to be there, and regardless they always going to need people to help and vendors to help them to do to run the property.
So is that resistance on the demand side, like the maintenance supers, or is it on your vendors, your suppliers?
No, on the vendors, no. On the
No.
vendors, they have no choice. They
Yeah.
have to use technology because otherwise we're not
It's
able
gonna work.
to schedule them a service. So it's a different approach, right? Because you're looking for work, you wanna do, you wanna grow your company, so you will adapt to whatever is the asking is to do the job. So no, technology has been much easier on the vendor side than what it is on the client, on the
The
property
client
manager
side.
side. And yes, and selling to the two audiences, it's completely different. I mean, we really empower our vendors to do a good job, and to understand that, to have a lot of pride for what they do, because that's the only way that's going to help you grow.
Yeah.
And there are people that they just don't understand, and that's just reality. Some people, they do have a business, but they don't have pride for what they're doing, and they don't care. But our job is actually to help them, empower them to understand, that regardless of what you're doing in life, if you do it good and you do it well, it's going to take you places, it's going to open doors for you, even if this is not what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, but you're going to be opening doors that eventually are going to be good for your future. So it's a whole other conversation on the vendor side, another communication.
Yeah. No, and it's a different purpose, right? It's a, I mean, I just, how we open the conversation with your, it's not even fair to call it passion. Like it's yourself. It's your own story. And it's so easy to be compassionate. Sounds like a soft word, but it's like to feel and know where they are. Because you were there too, right? That was your life.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so there's like you're compelled to help them be successful.
Yes. And that's really what we want, just if we made it, anybody can make it. I mean, two immigrants, no English, struggling financially, like all the things against us, and we made it. It's just because when you're persistent and you really want to make a difference, things are going to open up, and even your purposes are going to get bigger than what you thought
Yeah.
it were going to be from the beginning. So
Yeah.
so that's just who we are, and that's true. That's we just want to be able to duplicate what we've done so people can do better and improve their lifestyles, like just have a better life.
How do you just a couple more questions, and this has been such a great conversation. How do you know when you've got a hell yes buyer? Like how can you tell when you've got someone that they're locked in, they're ready to go, that they need this?
Yes. Well, I think it's just, understanding what their needs are, right? Like they're struggling, and there's so many things on their plate that they can take on more, right? So it's not just on one conversation, it's just being with them, and like I said before, giving them quality. For us, it's the first thing that we want to do. Give them quality versus technology. We're not selling technology, we're selling quality first.
Yeah.
And from that point, then that they understand that there's a different way of doing it, and then we may be the solution that they're looking for. So that's seeing their eyes when things are like, wow, I can't believe you painted this unit in such a short period of notice and everything is great. Now that they can move in, right? Like, I guess that's the hell yes, just giving them quality versus anything else. And also reassuring that supervision is super important. It's the main thing. And because that's your business too, right? And we spoke about this before. We're not in the business of cleaning, maintenance, painting. We're really on the business of supervision because of the nature of the industry. We really need to help the people on the field, just move on, because there are times when people, they just don't want to do it, and then you're there. Okay, now you're lacking a little bit here. Let's go back to the standards. Let's go back to the quality. You can do it. This is going to take you somewhere. So that's really the key, a business of supervision,
especially like
more than technology and everything else.
Especially when you talk about like when you emphasize on quality, it would be very easy for you to figure out who wants it versus who doesn't want it. Like get it, want it, and has the capacity. Like there's a get it, want it, and EOS talks about get it, want it, and has the capacity, right? It might be easy to get it. It's kind of a bit harder to want it, and then capacity you can train. And so if someone doesn't want it, you can figure that out really quickly.
Yeah.
And then you set them free. They got to go their own way and do something different, but they can't work for Esencia.
Exactly. And that's everything in life. You can feed them, but you cannot make them feel hungry. I think that's to make them.
Yeah.
It's actually in Spanish, a better saying.
I know. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Is the expression.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I know the way you're talking
about. You can ignite that because some people are just, and on both sides, right? From the property management side and from the vendor side, some people, they just need to see that there's a side of hope. And once you're able to show them, then they may be able to drink that water, right?
Yeah.
It's just that little push that you just sometimes have to give people. And then you don't even know what, they could even, it could even go, and they can actually take it from there. Some people, it's not for them. So it's just everything.
That's
exactly.
Okay. So when you go back and you look at everything you've learned and done, like, what's a bit of advice you'd give yourself, to immigrants in New York City, 20 years ago, or how many years ago? What would you tell yourself then? Or what would you tell someone who's starting to come on as a supplier at Esencia right now? What would you give them for advice? What would be your gifted advice? Okay,
it's just, just do anything you do with pride. Just do it right, because whatever that little opportunity that you are being offered to do, whatever it is, being a server, being, sweeping floors, anything that you do, just do it with pride, and do it like if you're doing it for yourself, because doors are going to be opening from that point. It's not about the title. It's not about, where you at. It's really about how you do it with with the integrity that you do it. Because, and I tell this to my kids all the time, like, whatever you do, do it for yourself. Because if you're not going to be there anymore, and maybe people are not appreciating what you're doing, it doesn't matter, because it's for you. You're taking it with you. Nobody's going to take it from you. And Esencia team, our Esencia team knows it, and we tell them all the time, everything that you're learning is yours. So just take it with that ownership, because you don't know where you're going to be using it. You don't know what doors are going to be opening. Who knew that we were cleaning a bar? I remember we were cleaning actually a mechanic place. How do you call it? Like, yeah.
Like a grifo? What do you call it?
A place for the car repairs,
like
right?
gas station.
Yes, and we were cleaning. I do remember being with my big belly, super pregnant for Maya, and it was grease all over. Like, I was cleaning, and I did it with so much pride. I really wanted to get that grease out of those floors, because it was just the integrity of doing it, because I was being paid, right, to do it. So I wanted to do it right. Who knew that we were going to be offered to clean an apartment unit, a property, and now see where we at? It didn't happen magically. It didn't happen because we were the best. It just happened because we wanted to do it right from the beginning, and just do it for ourselves, and the integrity of our, you pay me, I'm gonna do it right. And even though you're not paying me as much as you should be, but if this is the time that I'm working on this, I'm gonna do it right, and then I'm gonna move on my next phase.
Yeah.
But that's my advice. Just
Do
have
it
so much pride for what you do. Yeah.
And then the quality and the pride earns opportunities all by itself.
Always. I mean,
Oh,
and nowadays when
you can compete on that. You can compete on pride now. You can compete on quality.
Yes. And nowadays, when people are a little bit more distracted, like, people are so distracted with not the real things, like, they're distracted with whatever is out there, social media. So people are not giving their 100%. So when somebody's giving their 100%, people are gonna die to get you on board. Like, people are gonna steal you, because if that's what you're doing, it's rare. It's gonna become even more rare to have people that are doing the things with integrity. So just do it. Just be, just have so much pride, and things are gonna open up enormously, like, on a different level.
So who should we talk to next?
We said it. So yes, Ray Huston, and I met him. I didn't have the opportunity to talk to him a lot, but I do feel his leadership. I see, he's such a humble person. That's, how I perceive him. Very family centered, and I think the world needs more leaders like him. That are making a difference, and that even though we are in a world of technology or any different fancy things it could be, but being humble, being centered, and knowing that there is always a purpose, and being aligned with God's will as well, it's very important. So I would like to to see him on the show next time.
We're overdue. I haven't chatted with Ray. Well, we chatted in spring, but we're overdue for a chat, and I definitely want to give him a break after Property Summit, MX Summit. I just saw so many good things that came out of that. Yes. Excellent. Well, everyone, thank you for listening today. Thank you for listening to Angelica's story. Thank you for such an encantado por conocerte, porque no hay gente como tú. And like, I just tell you, like, when the first 30 seconds that I met you, I was just like caught up in your energy, and I just want to make sure that
thank you so much.
Share in that cup filling. Thank you so much for everything. And everyone who's listening, obviously you're catching us on the podcast on Apple or Spotify. Please hit follow or subscribe. That makes it much easier for everyone to find us. If you're catching us on LinkedIn afterwards or through some of the other posts, feel free to comment always. Angelica and I are happy to jump on and answer any questions you might have, or engage any comments you have to offer. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias también. Buen día y buena suerte.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista. Chao, Angelica.
Gracias.